Okay, so we are Bhruguvalli in Taittiriya, chapter 3, and it's section 6. Somebody wants to give a page number? Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Bruhaspatihi Shanno Vishnurrukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanma Bhavatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, 1 second. Okay. So,
I think it's either 286 or 287. We were in the middle reading this.
I think we had not started reading. I had just explained the whole thing. Yeah, right? And so because there was a 1 week gap and all that, so I'm just what we are at the section, it's about Anand. They're talking about bliss.
Yeah.
So he kind of is started with the Annamaya Kosha. Then first he thought that Anna was Brahman. In a way, it is also because Anna is coming from there only. But that's not the ultimate. That's what he realized. That, the Annamaya Kosha depends on the Pranamaya Kosha. Because pranas are the one pushes the body. But pranas are controlled by mind. We saw that. That's why we have pranayam. You can. So mind is the boss. Then he realized that mind is a chota agent. Intellect is a bigger one. Intellect drives the mind. What drives the intellect? We had the big discussion last time. And we all agreed when we go in the core of it, everybody wants to be happy and they are striving constantly to create more bliss in their life. Even a little worm or us. उसको भी happiness चाहिए, उसको भी खाना पीना चाहिए, उसको भी अपनी family चाहिए, जो भी है, And we do the same thing, and the purpose is happiness. What is this happiness? That's the whole idea. And then we had gone through the discussion that in a deep sleep, everybody is very happy. Okay? And that's where we are relaxed, and then it proves that you don't need anything to be happy. Because we always think that we need things to be happy. But in deep sleep, whether you are a Raja or a Rank, everybody's quality of deep sleep only. I'm not talking about dream state. Because if you are very disturbed, you can get nightmares and all this. So we are not talking about that state. Uske jo beyond state at deep sleep mein, whether you are an animal or you are a human or you are a Raja, you are a dusht person, you are a very good person, everybody feels relaxed. Because you are closest to God, and identification is broken from everything else. So that was one proof. But the problem with deep sleep is ignorance is not gone. So when we wake up, dusht becomes dusht again, good person becomes good person, and we all come back to our same life. So that's what the problem is. So what's the whole idea? Jagte hue connect ho us Anand se. That's the whole idea, and try to understand it intellectually first and then meditate upon it, because meditation, it's like you are disconnecting just like a deep sleep, but with awareness. That's the whole trick. So what in this particular verse, what they are trying to show is that Bhrugu's journey, he understood what that Anand was while awake. And once you touch that Anand, you have touched God. That's what it is. And it may not be fully there, but you have come to the door of your journey. You have traveled everywhere, and now you got to just stand there and God will open. And in fact, Swamiji gives the idea that in the dark room, you're looking for the window, you're looking for the window. When you reach the window, you just open the window and the light floods. Everything is gone. So वैसा उसके साथ हुआ है, this dramatic way. So that's where we are. Any question about that? And then the other part of this verse was, which I had already explained, but we're going to read Swamiji's commentary, which is a very long one too, that it's a mystical language they used, that they said this person who has realized Brahman, one who knows, thus becomes one with Brahman. He becomes a possessor of the food and eater of the food. अन्नवान एंड अन्नादो. एंड इट्स व्हाट डज दैट मीन कि अभी तो बोल रहे थे कि संसार में को छोड़ के गो द जर्नी विद इन, एंड नाउ ही इज सेइंग दैट ही इज बिकम लाइक अ ग्लटन, ही कीप्स ईटिंग. नो दैट्स नॉट व्हाट इट मीन. ही मीन्स उसको वननेस दिखाई देती है. ही सेड द होल वर्ल्ड इज माइन, दैट्स व्हाई ही बिकम धनवान. बोलते ना कि एक जोक है कि दिस पर्सन सेड आई go to 3-star hotel, 4-star hotel, 5-star. अभी मैंने सुना कोई 7-star भी हो गया. I don't know. होगा कोई, right? 7-star hotel, somebody was bragging. So this sadhu said, I have like a 1,000,000-star hotel. So what do you mean? I sleep under. Look at the sky. I love that joke, And then the other joke, you may have heard it too. So this rich guy's kid goes to India, and the father is saying, oh, we have such a big house and we have so many cars and all that. So he said, no, that guy who's sleeping under the tree, he looked at a sadhu, he is very rich. So how come? Because the whole sky is his, the whole ground is his, So that's what it is they're trying to say. When you think, and the third one also, I have to tell you this. You may have seen that movie. Did you guys see the movie about Swaminarayan? Just when he was young, the Swaminarayan temples are there and all that, right? So Swaminarayan ki story thi. Because I saw that movie and one scene really captured my heart. So it seems that when he was, I don't know how old he was, 11 or 13, something like that, he left home and he did Padyatra because he was so high in, it's like Shankaracharya. Very young age, he was highly spiritual. So he left his home and he's doing Padyatra, and he's a very attractive boy, right? So when he's going through the villages, these village women, जैसे बोलते ना कि imagine a scene, कुएं के ऊपर उसको पानी पीना था. तो he goes there and he says कि मुझे पानी दो. तो वो लोग बोले, सारी औरतें, कितना क्यूट बच्चा है, like how you feel like pulling their cheeks. तू कहाँ से आया है, तू खो गया है क्या, like why you are roaming alone, and they're giving him water and food and all. And he said, नहीं मैं नहीं खोया हूँ, तुम लोग सब खोए हुए हो. मतलब सोचो उसका, इसे मैं नहीं भटका हुआ, मैं नहीं खोया, तुम खोए हुए हो. Because he was so high up there that he had the oneness. That's what they're talking about in this, that when you feel the oneness. That was such a great scene, I'll never forget. So anyway, and then the other one was what? He becomes great in progeny. No, not that way. And then great in cattle. No, not that way. Because progeny means praja. Everybody becomes his own. Like हम सब भगवान के बच्चे हैं. So he's representing like भगवान only. हम उन्हीं के बच्चे बन जाते हैं. Like some great saint and all, we feel like father figure towards that person, right? That's how. So that's what it meant. And then another very important word was Brahma Varchasen. He gets all the quality of Brahman. All the goody things that we are so hard to, all the Shat Sampatti, Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, already उसमें आ जाता है सब कुछ. सारा एक साथ download हो गया सारा. Imagine. That's what happened to him. He can do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, sab. Instant download. And then instant connection to whatever they want. Because sometimes, like some of these, there was a person who wrote a book called Conversation with God. I don't know how many of you know about that fellow. He wrote 3 books about very interesting book of a conversation with God. And in that, this kind of concept is given, that he says that sometimes, people would ask question to him and he would answer. And then he would think, did I say it right? And those answers were always correct. Because he said that as though other person was downloading into me to say it. See what I'm trying to say? Like, that's what happens. Or the people who write poetries and all that, sometimes they will read their own poetry and they say, did I write this? Because it just came through. Downloaded at the right time, So like that. So this person become Brahma Varchasen. Those were the points I was just trying to remind, so that when we read, we will get the idea. Any question before we start reading? Volunteers? Who wants to read? If nobody is raising their hand, I'm going to ask Anilji then. And it's a very long one, Anilji. So please, whenever you get tired, you can give it to somebody else, Meena ji or whoever wants to read it after a couple pages.
I was going to give an example that when Ramakrishna used to go in Samadhi, somebody made a picture of him. And he brought it to him and he started to bow to it.
Oh,
Ram! Why you are bowing to your own picture? He says, I don't know who I was here. So that's one of the stories.
Interesting, very interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have heard about their other one too. They have in India, they have a custom of doing Guru Pad Puja. They so some people find it, he's not God. Why you're doing Guru? Some people might think. And one time, like Swamiji was explaining, it's not like his feet, it's more like all the gurus in the world. See what I'm saying? It's a symbolism of that reverence for it. Like when Guru Purnima comes. We call it Guru Purnima. We are bowing to the Guru Tattva, the essence, which is the Guru Tattva. And it can be anybody, anywhere. And all of them combined, we are bowing down to. Whoever brings the spiritual stuff, it's like could be so many. So it doesn't have to be like, why we are doing this, because there is a lot behind it. So what Joe is saying is very significant, that he himself is bowing down to his own picture because that is in a different state, right? And with the same idea, as I have told this many times, but whoever doesn't know it will know that later on, after the war was over, Arjuna asked Krishna Bhagwan, can you repeat the Gita? And he said, no, I cannot. Because at that time, I was completely one with Brahman. Right time, right place and all that oneness was so real that it was as though Brahman speaking. And when he was doing other stuff, it was still there, but that moment was not there. So
he called it Paramatma Tattva. That Paramatma Tattva mere mein ab nahi aa sakta.
Yeah, and because it was वो जो गीता डिलीवर का टाइम जो निश्चित किया था वही था वो. And I just wanted to tell you, whoever doesn't know the story, that there is a Puranic story where they say that there were 2 rishis, Nar and Narayan, who did a lot of tapasya, and they were Krishna Bhagwan and Arjun. Means Krishna Bhagwan ने पहले भी जन्म लिया हुआ है अर्जुन के साथ. And वो तपस्या की उन्होंने, और उसके फलस्वरूप ये this whole Gita came out. As though, because वो उन्होंने भी कर्म करके दिखाया कि ऐसे ही नहीं कि ऐसे ही आ गई गीता. काफी मेहनत की उन्होंने, पहले भी जाके हिमालय पे तप किया, so there's so much behind it. It doesn't happen just like that. There's a purpose in everything,
Also, I heard from Vedanta Society that in their place they put Ramakrishna in Samadhi there. So he said it is not Ramakrishna, but it is God there.
Yeah. No,
because
of course.
He is in the God form, Yeah.
Right. Yeah, interesting points, yes. Okay.
He knew that bliss was Brahman, for from bliss all these beings are produced. By bliss do these things live. They go to bliss on departing and become one with it. This is the knowledge learned by Bhrigu and taught by Varuna. This is established in the supreme space, in the excellent cavity of the heart. He who knows thus becomes one with Brahman. He becomes the possessor, assimilator of food, and the eater, enjoyer of it. He becomes great in progeny, cattle, and gains the splendor of true Brahmahood. Indeed, he becomes great through fame and renown.
So we went through all this, and basically, he realized that God is Brahman and bliss is Brahman. And when we go back to the Taittiriya Upanishads verses, when they were talking about different koshas, जब आनंदमय कोश आया था ना, तो उन्होंने बोला था उसकी जो प्रतिष्ठा है वो कॉन्शियसनेस ही है, वो ब्रह्मन ही है. So that's another very important point. And the example given by Nikhilanand ji was that just like we have this body, Annamaya Kosha isko bolte hai, right? But there is a Panch Mahabhuts are there outside, and we are just a drop of it. We have collected a little bit out of that entire Panch Mahabhutas elements, great elements they are called. उसमें से हमने थोड़ा सा लेके अपनी बॉडी में. तो वैसे ही वो आनंदमय कोश जो हम लोग experience करते हैं deep sleep में, it's one drop of that entire ocean of bliss. And now you can imagine when you become one with that bliss, how you will feel. And that measure was given in Taittiriya Upanishad. Do you remember that? When they talked about, hey, what is the Ananda? This Ananda is more than this, more than this, more than this. In the end, it's like undescribable, infinite Anand. So that we are doing the connection, that what they mean by this Anand.
When Bhrigu, thus through contemplation, transcended himself from Annam to Prana, from Prana to mind, and from mind to intellect, he was not satisfied. Therefore, he took the most daring plunge into the beyond, when he left even the intellect also behind. On transcending the intellect also, he came to experience a state of bliss, which had been already described in the last chapter as Anandamaya Kosha. We have found there that this bliss sheath is the enjoyer of which the intellect is an agent.
So this may be a little bit confusing language, but basically Swamiji is also explaining the same thing from a different approach, that when you transcend each one, you reach the higher kosha. That's number one. And then he's saying that we have found there that the bliss sheath is the enjoyer of which the intellect is an agent. That means that's the primary thing in our life, is seeking the bliss. If you go core of it, what we are doing in this world, we are looking for that infinite bliss. Except because we are ignorant, we are looking at it at the wrong places. But we are seeking that only. And why we are seeking? Because that's what we are. And there is a very interesting drishtant, and it is a scientific fact actually, where somebody said, why does the water always flow downwards? And why does the flame always kind of go up? Because it's trying to go to its source. Water in the end wants to meet the ocean. हिमालय से उतरा है, सारी नदियां समुद्र में ही मिलती हैं. कहीं चाहे वो अर्जेंटीना में हो, चाहे यहाँ पर हो, चाहे वो नाइल हो, इजिप्ट की, all of them go in the ocean. And the flame, Agni, because what you call the fire tattva is higher thing, it's going up. I thought that was very interesting. So that's where we are actually infinite bliss, and we are craving to reach that. That's why we keep going towards it.
So, Maji, what is the meaning of intellect is an agent?
Because जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि अगर एक अपने मुंबई की लैंग्वेज में बोलो तो वो उसका नौकर है, because उससे सबॉर्डिनेट है वो. एजेंट से हम काम करवाते हैं ना, तू he is the agent for this, do this for me. You pay money and do it. It is just a concept that you are the boss. So bliss is the boss, and intellect is like a das of the bliss, because why intellect is functioning? To gain the happiness. See that? And the mind has to bow down to the intellect ने कुछ decide कर लिया पक्का, तो mind has to conform.
So intellect becomes a means.
So in this example, mind is the agent for intellect.
Mind is the
Yeah, and then the mind is body is the agent of the mind, because कोई कितना भी थका हुआ हो, लेकिन अगर तो बोले मुझे ये करना ही है, तो बॉडी भी कंफर्म करती है. So agent is just a subordinate. That's all. It's another language for subordinate.
Isn't it the intellect? That's where the reflected consciousness is.
Yes, yes, but
And therefore, that is the point. That's where it's going to get it. And through that, it's going to go up to the point of the body. You know?
True. So that's yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So that is a kind of a fact that what you are saying, and what they are trying to explain over here, because there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita also, which we have already done. It's come somewhere in, I don't know, one of the Karma Yoga chapters it comes. And it says that indriyas are superior than body, mind is superior than indriya, intellect is superior than mind, and that consciousness, Brahman, is superior than intellect. So one who gets it.
The consciousness is coming into the body.
Yes.
That's what they say. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I read at least.
True. So whichever way you want to look at it. So in this example, that in this verse that Bhagwan said that, so one who establishes in the Brahman, he can control everything.
Yes.
So it's like higher seat you sit on, all the subordinates get controlled.
Yes.
Right? That's what it means. But some people who only live at the mind level and they make the mind the boss, then there is a big problem, because then they become very emotional. They are like a yo-yo going this way, that way. That's why you need the intellect. Intellect को boss बना दो, that's better. But intellect के ऊपर भी Brahman है. That's what it's trying to say. You know? I don't know if that explained it, Anilji.
So I have another theory in all this, because
Yes.
I have been writing this quite a bit.
बोलो.
So it goes back to the cycle of play that is there in the timeline of the universe. You go from Pralaya, Mahapralaya to everything repeats itself. So God duplicated himself in our image. I mean, through the 84 lakh yonis and all that. But what he did was, he kept the Satchit Anand, the real Anand, with him, and gave us Anand Maya Kosha, which is different than the real Anand. So we can, so the earlier shlok in Taittiriya said, the Manushya Anand, which is at a level 1, which is your health, wealth, power, and this. And we are in that worldly loop, trying to maximize this Manushya Anand. And that's why we do karmas, and then we have the consequences. And after a while, we are fed up of that, then we want to go for moksha. And that's when the cycle starts. And so the million times more is the Manushya Anand. You have Gandharva Anand, you go step by step till you reach the ultimate Brahma. So this shlok ties about above the Anand Maya Kosha. See, Anand Maya Kosha is limited to the body. And then when you lose your body, you're merged with Brahma, then you have merged in the real Anand, the Satchit Anand.
That's right.
And I learned this because somebody gave a lecture on music, that any music that touches all your heart, all your 5 koshas is the real music. And so that Anand Maya Kosha is limited to the body. Because you still have your identity. Like you said, that doll, once the doll resolves, then it is Brahma. And that's the final state. So before that, you are still human.
So the other way to look at it, whatever you are saying in a very, very simple language, whatever Anand that we experience in the world, the source is that Brahmanand only, but it's a reflected one. It's like somebody saying that, get the sun or get a reflection of the sun. The reflection of the sun is not going to be sun, but it is still have the same quality. It will give you light, it can give you heat and all that, right?
No, because I get asked all the time questions in Quora and Reddit that why go for moksha? I'm very happy now.
If they are
I have
happy,
health, wealth, everything.
they don't need to. When you feel that you are not happy, then you're gonna go. नहीं तो otherwise, some fellow, had some Swami had come and he was giving some lecture in somebody's house, and the wife was more spiritually oriented. The husband was like a Nastik, so he came and he said, "But why should I study all that?" So the Swami said, "Who told you to study? Don't." It's like, hey, only if you want to, Baba. If you think
We
that
can live our worldly life
people are
perfectly happy for many, many lifetimes till we realize that there's more to it. So when we become jigyasu, and then we go for moksha.
it just takes a little bit of vichar to become jigyasu, because it was this one, somebody was giving lecture in this Hare Krishna, and he said, no matter what you got, in the end, it's one day the Yamraj will come and say, get out, then what are you going to do? That is a fact too. So, hey, all this I earned for nothing. Maybe there's a higher purpose. Nobody's
So what
saying don't.
about the masters, the higher masters, do they, experience the total Anand bliss with their bodies?
They call it Jivan Mukta. So that what you are asking, there is a debate about it. So it depends on what you want to believe. Some people believe that to experience that Anand, you have to drop your body. Some people believe that, huh? But in Chinmayanand and he says that that's not true. While you are in this body, you can. And then I think that Joe was talking about, Ramakrishna Paramhans, that when he was in that samadhi, he did experience that Anand. And so, that's on our own belief, what we want to believe. There are two theories about it. But in Chinmaya Mission, they always talk about Jivan Mukti. And Krishna Bhagwan, according to Chinmayanand, is also talking about the Jivan Mukti, because he told Arjuna, the whole idea of that Arjuna had a grief. And he said that, hey, if you surrender to me, your grief will be gone. Grief gone means Anand is there, And then in this Taittiriya Upanishad also, we talked about it. They talked about different gradation of Anand. And then it said, in that Samadhi, you can experience the same Brahmanand. Which, remember, they said that. They said that's the same one. So they are assuring you that you have a chance to experience that Brahmanand while you are in this body, if you connect to it.
Yeah, my understanding about little bit about self-realization fellowship is like there are so many self-realized souls who have uplifted their prana energy, who meditated a lot, and then they become one with that consciousness. And once they become, they have the knowledge, the perception, the wisdom, everything. And there are these living examples of gurus who has been self-realized soul and who attained that Anand, that state of Anand.
Yep.
So, like Sadhguru is the living example, Sri is the living example. Our history, Indian history, is full of those masters who became self-realized souls. And my understanding is our continuously downward flowing prana energy, when we lift it up through meditation, bring it in between the eyebrows, and we keep it there for long, long time, only then we become self-realized soul. And once you become that, then you can enjoy that Anand. So that Anand, higher it goes, our prana energy, higher it goes, you can experience the real Anand. Because there was a debate about Shankaracharya and this very famous
Mandan Mishra, yes.
Famous family. And Shankaracharya walked at their door and he said, I want to have a debate with you because you are very popular, you are helping people, everybody praising you. but I want to have debate with you. And so they had a debate, and the person who was living this worldly life, he got defeated. But then his wife, who was the judge at that time, she said, I want to debate with you. And then she asked him that you're talking about the Anand. When we are making love, we feel the same Anand, even for momentarily, but we feel the same Anand. We don't think about the world or anything, and we thoroughly enjoy it. And now Shankaracharya was, it was very hard for him to answer this because he never had that kind of sexual experience. So he said, okay, I need 30 days to get the answer for this thing. So he went and meditated very deeply, and then he came back and he said, the Anand which you are getting, that is just momentarily Anand. You go back to the same state again. But this Anand which you get by renunciation, not renunciation, by self-realization, that Anand is permanent. Once you get it, you have it. Nobody can take it. It doesn't diminish. So
Yes, I
that's
had
my
put this whole story, and he actually took in somebody else's body and all that. If I can put that back again, there's a whole video on it. True. So I think the basic idea is that yes, Sneha, your question, that these people have experienced that that final Anand, but whether you want to believe it or not, that still lies in your mind. That's where I'll leave it at. Okay. All right. Let's go further. Thank you, Kamalaji.
To experience the bliss sheath in itself through a steady and awareful withdrawal of our identifications with the world outside, and the outer 4 layers of matter is to experience immediately the supreme, which is subtler than the very bliss sheath. He who reaches the bliss sheath by the very momentum of his arrival there from the outer world of his natural preoccupations gets bowed out into the infinite realms beyond it and comes to experience the transcendental glory of his own nature. I think that answers a lot of questions we were just talking about. To reach upon the bliss sheath is the self-effort, Purusharth.
Purusharth, yes.
Having reached there, the transcendence of it and the experience of wisdom is immediate and instantaneous.
I think that what you said is so true. Whatever questions we had, that's what he's talking about. So in this particular Upanishad, the path that they are showing, once he reached that bliss sheath, that's why he doesn't come back to his dad. Because before that, he was running back. Teach me Brahman, so go meditate. Finally, when he got that, he got the glimpse of it, and it's like, aha, aha moment, he got it. It's something like, I want to look at the sun and I don't know what it is. Somebody is brought up in some dark cave, and then once they see the light, it's like, wow. And that's what, this light is connected to the sun anyway. See what I'm saying? That's the picture that we have to think about. That's what happened to him. Yeah.
In a dark room, in the daytime, all your efforts will be directed to carefully feeling your way through the objects in the room to the window and there to open its shutters. This is the last act that you have to do to flood the whole room with light. Having opened the window, you need not invite the light from outside to stream in. Similarly, your own real nature was unknown to us because our preoccupations with the 5 matter envelopments and their world of objects. When we have withdrawn ourselves up to the Anandamaya Kosha without any hitch or struggle, we automatically get ourselves transported to the realm of the divine in us, which is indicated here as established in the supreme space in the excellent cavity of the heart. We have already explained what we mean by the cave of the heart.
So this is all the culmination of the entire thing now that he's talking about, that the substratum. It's like, there are so many different examples you can give about this, that, hey, that suppose there is a lake which is very muddy and, it's wind is blowing and it is a lot of little waves are there and you cannot see the bottom. But then when you clean it up, and then now finally you saw the bottom, something like that you can say. Or the 5 koshas, he's transcending each one. I'm not this, and all that. Hey, there is something superior. When he reached the final one, he got it. Wow, that's what has happened, that he has reached that final.
That's when the window is open.
Window is open, and it's like you are, turning, suppose this is the example. You are turning this bulb, that bulb. When the sun comes out, does it have any match with the lights? Think about, kitne bhi bulb jala lo, kitna bhi daytime, it cannot match the sun, which floods the whole thing with so much light you can do anything. That's what this fellow is experiencing.
Okay, if somebody else wants to continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meena ji, you can continue if you like.
But he can, it's only 15 minutes left. He can continue and we can do the rest of it next time. So he can
No,
continue.
I think I was just saying that because it's so much, and it's okay. Somebody else can. Falguni ji, you want to read? It is from this paragraph. It just maybe he got tired, that's all. The subjective way of realization.
This subjective way of realization by an intimate conscious inquiry of the different layers of personality in man is the most direct of methods available in Vedanta for self-realization. No other religion in the world had ever given us such a direct method of culminating man's evolution in his discovery of the Godhood that lies concealed within himself. This method of inquiry and direct apprehension of the subtler realms of the personalities in ourselves, and ultimately to discover and realize in an intimate personal experience that the vital source of all other existence to be the infinite, all-pervading reality is called the Bhargavi Vidya.
Bhargavi Vidya, yes. So now, there is this name popular in India, Bhargavi. Now you know where it's coming from. It's coming from that Bhargavi Vidya, which is a story from Taittiriya Upanishad of Bhrigu. भृगु ने जो एक्सपीरियंस किया उसको भार्गवी विद्या बोला गया है. एंड ये जो हम लोग पंचकोशा सभी ने सुना होगा, किसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कभी सुना होगा. Anybody who is kind of studying a little bit of spiritual stuff, they will come across this पंचकोशा. उसका सोर्स तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद है. फर्स्ट टाइम इसी में इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया था. And the reason they are saying that this is a very direct method, because these panchakoshas are, we can relate to it, each one of them. We have it too. We have the body, which is Annamaya Kosha, then pranas, we know energy. Modern language में energy बोलते हैं, my energy is very low today, my energy is very high. They're actually talking about pranas, And then manomaya, we know we have a mind. Like, we know we are not mindless people, And then we can understand the difference between mind and intellect now, after we understood that as a deciding power. And nobody can, if you do thoda bahut vichar, you will realize that we are all seeking Anand. सारी दुनिया ही आनंद के पीछे पागल है. जितने भी ये लोग एडवर्टाइजमेंट भी देते हैं ना, बच्चों को रिझाने के लिए, बड़ों को रिझाने के लिए, थोड़ा और आनंद मिल जाएगा तुमको, ये टेस्ला खरीद लो या वो खरीद, जो भी है, like that's what it is. It's Anand is, but what is the source of that Anand? That's what we are learning through this. And if it's like you are going for a little piddly paddly thing, उसका खजाना है, तुमको source ही मिल गया वो, so then you're not going to run after the small things. Now जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि you have to go somewhere to get the water. Olden days में इतना दूर, अभी नल में पानी आ रहा है भाई. Why do you need to go anywhere? You can get the Anand anytime you want to. So that's what they're talking about.
Just as in modern world of science, a theory discovered by a scientist goes under his name, here the theory by which Bhrigu realized for himself the truth came to be called science of Bhrigu. Here it is interesting to note how Varuna, the teacher, though he enunciated this theory, had not cared to lend his name to it because in philosophy, the touchstone is its experiencer. Bhrigu first experienced the divine glory of his own inner self through this technique of self-inquiry, and therefore this method is called Bhargavi Vidya and not Varuni Vidya.
So he's giving more importance to the one who experienced it. You know, that's the whole idea, that's why it's called Bhargavi Vidya. So because it was experience, and then the main thing is because he experienced it, if we do the same thing, we have a chance to experience it. That's why it's called Bhargavi Vidya, not Varuni. I mean, the student ko zyada importance diya because we relate to the student more. Jo koi ek bahut bada wahan par baitha ho, then say, okay, I don't know, Baba, I can't do this. But hey, this fellow is like you only. Like Chinmayanand used to say to everybody, if I can do it, you can do it too. Because he came from, that Gnostic type of person and all that, and how he transformed. So just to encourage us,
His is also, he's gone step by step,
Yes.
That makes a difference, that each step the student can understand, we all can understand. Whereas, his father, it's not exactly clear. He is established, but how?
How exactly? I think very good.
This one, how he went through each step.
Each step.
And I thought that's why it made it more important for everybody else
Yep.
to understand that.
True.
This is not an accidental coincidence that Bhrigu heard it and came to realize this truth. Mother Shruti guarantees that if anyone with the sincerity of Bhrigu consistently perseveres on the path of inquiry and concentrated meditation, he too can come to experience the same fulfillment as Bhrigu. Shruti says, he who knows thus become one with Brahman.
So like, somebody says, अच्छा भाई भृगु को पता चल गया, मेरा क्या होगा? तो बोले तुमको भी मिल सकता है, भृगु के footstep में जाओ. That's why they say that's why you need a guru. Because guru has been there, he can guide you. And different gurus have their own experience they are telling, and whichever you connect to. Like Kamlaji connects to Self-Realization Fellowship, and I go to Chinmaya Mission, somebody else, Vedanta Society and all, doesn't matter. Because all of them can take you to that path, because like they say, that if you want to climb a mountain, there could be several ways you can go there. So it's my way is the best way, no, but that depends on your body, your mind, what you connect to. Somebody can say this is the best, but if you don't connect to it, what good is it for you? Think about it. It's like, I want to go to an Ivy League college, but hey, you may be more successful somewhere else. Over there, you might feel intimidated, but you will still graduate and you can be successful. See, you don't have to go to Ivy League college to be successful. That's what it is, that this Bhargavi Vidya is one of the ways. So we are learning this way. If somebody connects some other way, that's also fine. But this is a very solid way also. That's what they're trying to say.
Ordinarily, this position is translated in most important manner, saying that one who thus realizes Brahman becomes rich in food and also very efficient in eating food. If material success and gluttony were the result of self-perception, God forbid that philosophy and save that country. Here the word Annam should be taken in the largest sense of the term as the entire world of experienceable objects. In short, it means that a perfect man alone can become fully and clearly conscious of the entire world that throbs with life and joy, and also he alone is the one who can come to experience indefinitely more than the dull-witted and the prejudiced.
Yeah, infinitely more than the. So we have discussed this, that when they say Annavan, he becomes Annavan, it doesn't mean that he is hoarding food or something. That's not what he means, but we understood the meaning. He feels oneness with the world of objects. He thinks that the whole world belongs to me. That's why they actually don't hoard. These people who are at that level, they don't keep anything for themselves. उनको मालूम है उनको जो चाहिएगा वो भगवान सामने दे देगा. उनके सामने होगा वो जो भी उनको जरूरत होगी. Like that, somebody said that Bhagwan always takes care of your need, not of your greed. Because we're humans, we want more. किसी ने बोला कि किसी को भूखा नहीं सुलाता है भगवान. वो उसको चींटी को चींटी के जितना देगा, हाथी को हाथी के मिलना खाना मिल ही जाता है उसको. अगर 1-2 दिन के बाद भी मिले तो खाना मिल ही जाता है. That's what it is, that he just is relaxed because he thinks the whole world is his.
An ordinary man of imperfection is the one who constantly keeps on running away from pains and agonies. Start again. An ordinary man of imperfections is the one who constantly keeps on running away from pains and agonies, failures and disasters, threats and despairs of life. Thus, more than half the world is, even for the best of men, a dark cave of horrid fears from which they should run away and seek a refuge and shelter. On the other hand, he who has realized the oneness of the Atman with divine whole, to him all circumstances and the entire world, from the simplest blade of grass to the Creator himself, is an appetizing field to revel in and dance in ecstasy. Thus, at every moment in life, at any place and in any circumstance, he is in an inspiring world, experiencing intensively the life in its totality.
So Swamiji, very interesting point he brought, that most of us, we rag dvesh mein rehte hain hum log. I want this and I don't want this. This fellow is beyond that. This is what Swamiji said. You reject 50% of the world. When you say rag dvesh mein, so you have made it your joy in half already. Is it this person is not like that? He looks at it as a whole, the whole universe. And that's why this is a complete synergy happening. When we go to chapter 10 and 11 mein jab jayenge, then he is going to show the Vishwaroop Darshan. उसमें बोलते हैं ना, beautiful, ugly, सब साथ में वो देखेगा. So this is a whole. So we have to accept the whole universe as whole, then you can enjoy it the most. तो बोलते हैं कि जो अगर हम लोग को खुशी चाहिए तो आंसू भी पीने पड़ेंगे. Then the khushi will be complete. If you say, I only want to be happy all the time in the world, it's not going to happen like that. This person got the maturity to embrace the whole world. That's why they don't get disgusted by anything. Like there is a whole Upanishad, Ishavasya, it starts with that the person who sees that God pervades everything, then he doesn't have he doesn't hate anything. That's what kind of meaning of it is. When we come to that, when we study that, we will see. But anyway, so we should stop here. Any other question, comment?
Oh, Maji, earlier we were talking about consciousness in neuroscience and Swami Sarpriyananda. This is the book he recommended.
Show everybody.
What is it?
Waking, Dreaming, Being. Is there something about,
It is the Self and Consciousness in Neuroscience, and it is by Evan Thompson. He's a professor of philosophy at University of British Columbia. So I just got this book just a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, आपने पढ़ना शुरू किया?
हाँ जी.
So you can next time tell us about it, and also you can put a picture of that book, whoever is interested in that, So, and I will maybe 1 or 2 videos I will forward. I find him very interesting, Sarpriyananji's, and he has his own style of talking and connecting and all that. Some people, like my brother, now he passed away. He liked Sarpriyananji a lot. He was
amazing.
Yeah. So I think
actually he talked about consciousness research at Harvard and so many other universities, and so very, very interesting.
Right. So this is like East and West car. He combines it.
Yeah.
That's what the beauty is. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and Umaji, the other prophet, the one you were talking about was Proof of Heaven by Evan Alexander.
Yeah, Evan. Thank you.
The neurosurgeon from Harvard.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the one if anybody's interested. I have only heard his interviews, long ones, 2 hour. I have not read the book myself, but the Anita Murjani's book, I read it. And I also heard her interview. But I know that his book is going to be fascinating. This Eben's book. Yes. So these are some of the things whoever is interested can pursue it further. Okay, great. We had a great class.
I read Anita Nurjani's book too.
Yeah, Dying to Be Me, that's the title of it. And she gives all kind of evidence in it. It's not just like ऐसे किसी ने बना दिया, she gives the proofs with her things and all that. So these people are coming out and sharing that there is a whole show, I think on Netflix or somewhere. काफी पहले देखा था मैंने, Life After Life. That there is a life after life, this life, that means. So much masala is there. These days, you can be busy 24/7 if somebody wants. Enough material is there. But anyway, you got to choose and move on. Yes. So with that, shall I close the class? Okay.
Yeah.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. We'll see.
Umaji, first of